Delay Apocalypse 2020 has struck again, this time claiming Dying Light 2 from its spring 2020 launch window, and it's been pushed to a nebulous, who knows, release date. But I think I know where this one is heading, and I'm super eager to hear what you all think and feel about this delay. What's going on, everybody? It's GhostRobo. Let me know in the comments down below if you are a-okay with this delay or if you feel flustered. I think both perspectives are totally acceptable, and there's some different things to consider on both sides. But first, I kind of felt like this was going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Actually, I'll let my past self tell you why here. And back then, I was blown away. So blown away that I came out of the demo questioning if they'd ever be able to achieve what I just saw in the final retail. That was after I saw Dying Light 2 at E3 2019. Now, don't get me wrong, I was blown away, and it was one of my most anticipated games out of the show. But it looked too good to be true. They are expanding Dying Light in many ways, and in many ways that I love. Dying Light 1 was a pretty fun game, but it relied heavily on co-op and antics that you could cause and create with your friends, because I felt like the story content and some of the single-player missions were not all that substantial. But alas, Dying Light 2, they want to expand upon that. They want to make not just a bigger, better city, but one that's focused on story and decisions and really immersing you in the world. In fact, having the world change and evolve based on your decisions, which is a really nice breath of fresh air for a game that previously was so multiplayer heavy. I love what they're doing and I love what I saw, but it looked incredibly canned. The demo was too perfect. It was too beautiful. It all happened too nicely, and I said, maybe this isn't 100% how the game is going to play. This seems like a very, very specific vertical slice where everything works perfectly. And how long before they're able to create a truly variable game where many different things can happen and it's not just this one set path? I mean, the vision that they were trying to sell was a fantastic one, and I loved it, and it got me and plenty of others hyped, but I felt like maybe this game would need more time. Another reason that this game probably needs more time is because they've already announced over at Techland that Dying Light 2 will be releasing on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So, the game is now delayed. They said we were initially aiming for a spring 2020 release of Dying Light 2, but unfortunately we need more development time to fulfill our vision. We will have more details to share in the coming months, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have more information. Please stay tuned. So, no new date a la Final Fantasy VII Remake, or Avengers, or Cyberpunk 2077. They're just saying it's delayed. Could it be delayed because a date isn't possible yet, because there isn't a date for PS5 and Xbox Series X? Now, I think it will still release cross-gen, but what an incredible launch title Dying Light 2 would be. In fact, Dying Light 2 might be the best launch title possible because it has received so much development time. It was initially planned for all the consoles, and yeah, maybe it's not tried and true dedicated next-gen, but that's not what Xbox wants anyways, and they'll still be able to appeal to the insane install base of PS4 and Xbox One, but release a really well-known property, a really promising game, and one that maybe is incredibly polished and incredibly well executed in comparison to the typical launch day fare. I think that they're saving this for the release of the new consoles. And maybe it's not day and date, maybe it'll release on PS4 and Xbox One a little bit earlier, and then come out on PS5 and Series X a little bit later, or maybe it'll all happen in one big zombie-rific day. But I think that's a lot of the part of this. Maybe it's not ready, and that probably plays a role as well, but I think waiting for next gen is what they're really up to. Now, on the delay front, I understand, like, hey, games get more time are going to be better games. There's that famous Miyamoto quote that everyone throws out about a bad game is always bad, a delayed game has a chance to be good, and that's absolutely true. More time on any project, virtually in any industry, is awesome. The sad part is that there is this misconception that delays are easing the pressure on the developers. We have a really nice thing going on where fans and gamers care much more about the well-being of developers and their efforts than ever before, and I think that's awesome. I think that's wonderful. So you would not be wrong to cheer on a delay. Plus, it doesn't matter if the game comes out now in 3 months and 5 months. If you're excited for Dying Light 2, you're excited for Dying Light 2. If you only buy a couple games a year, this is still one of the games you're going to buy. Now, if you're waiting for a specific release schedule and you just play all the games and you play them all the time, or maybe you were just so excited for Dying Light and you had the day taken off work, I can understand why you'd be frustrated. Me personally, I never like delays. I understand they can make the games better, but I want the games to come out. I get so excited for them. I plan, my schedule. I know when they're coming out. It's all lined up, and then boom, it doesn't work. Plus, we didn't used to have delays all the time, so something seems to be amiss, whether it's in the planning or the pressure from the publishers or mismanagement. I don't quite know. The demands of gaming and game creation are higher, and the stakes are higher than ever before. But somewhere along the way, something isn't working quite right, and I'd love to see that fixed. But the other side of this was brought up by Jason Schreier earlier this week, and it was in relation to Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm going to read directly from his article because I thought it was fascinating and a really eye-opening look as to why delays aren't always wonderful. He says, these days most video game fans are sympathetic to delays. They recognize that more time makes for better games and that game development is too complicated for anyone to accurately predict release dates very far in advance. So after a string of high-profile delays this week, including the RPG Cyberpunk 2077 and an action game based on the Avengers, a whole bunch of fans were happy to declare that they'd rather wait a few extra months than see developers work overtime to hit their deadlines. If only. And here is where it gets very interesting and very sad, and why it probably would be a good idea to try and figure out what is going wrong with development that so many games are seeing major delays. Because yes, it probably will make the game better, but this all probably could have been avoided with better preparation, better planning, and perhaps better management. I continue from Schreier's article. Imagine then having a single release date in mind, knowing that you'll just have to work nights and weekends, this is from the perspective of the developer, until then, only for that date to slip back 5 more months. Maybe at that point the emails will start getting even more contrite. Hey everyone, thanks so much for all your hard work. The good news is that we just got some more time, which means we'll be able to get all those kick-ass features we wanted. The bad news is that we're just going to have to keep pushing a little bit harder. They asked Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red, they asked, is the development team required to put in crunch hours? And the CEO, the co-CEO, said, to some degree, yes. To be honest, we try to limit crunch as much as possible, but it is the final stage. We try to be reasonable in this regard, but yes, unfortunately, which means 5 more months of intensity, of overworking, of crunch. I don't know that developers are always happy about delays. I'm sure there's some situations where they do rejoice and say, phew, we get some more time, we want to make this great. I don't think anybody across the board, from developer to publisher, from PR to marketing, nobody wants the game to be mediocre. They all want it to be great. The vision is to create something remarkable. I truly think they're all trying their very best, but I do also see that some developers aren't applauding the delays like fans, because while it will make the game better, yes, it doesn't make the lives of the developers easier, and here's where delays do have a dark side. Because Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red, they've been hard at work on this for a while. They've been prepping E3 after E3 and building this massive game that has so much anticipation and so much pressure because fans know that these are the guys that made The Witcher 3 one of the best games ever, and can they do it again? And maybe in an even more exciting way, in a more exciting world, bigger, better, bolder, pushing towards the end of the console cycle and towards next gen with a game that probably will see a re-release on next gen. So there's a lot at stake. And they know that they're close. They know that April is right around the corner. And then they find out that it's delayed. And on one hand, they're happy because there are a lot of bugs and a lot of things to fix, a lot more to do. They've been hiring writers up until just recently. So clearly there's more quests to be added. But I'm sure another part of them feels downright awful, knowing that their families will not be seeing them all that often over the next 5 months, knowing that their bodies, their brains, their morale will be taxed. And yes, they have the saving grace of knowing, the silver lining of knowing that their game will be better for it, but their lives will probably be a lot rougher for the next 5 months. So somewhere in this process, we need to find a way to make everything more efficient, more reliable, and more manageable. Clearly something is wrong, whether it's the publishers setting too crazy a date, whether it's the hype and the desire to be out there and get your moment in the sun and share with your fans the date and have the live stream and all that. Maybe that needs to be toned down. Whether it's shareholders who are pressuring to have a game in this fiscal year or that fiscal year, this quarter or that quarter. Whether it's who they have in charge of the studios not, able to correctly predict and plan where this thing is going. Games are incredibly hard. There's a lot that comes up and arises, but there are negative effects of this on more than just eager gamers. As you can see, developers are sometimes the ones paying the true price for the delay. So it's not just about whining and wanting the game now. Instant gratification isn't the only reason to be a little irked by the delay. It not only messes with the game release schedule, but it sure seems to mess the developer's schedule. And at the end of the day, if that's who we want to be more respected, to be more admired, to be more appreciated, then this whole system needs some reworking. I don't know exactly where it's gone wrong. I don't have a fix or solution. But I think instead of just applauding the delay, maybe we should start asking the question, how could we avoid this in the future? Because there's a lot more at stake than just a date on the calendar. Nonetheless, Dying Light 2 will probably be an awesome game. Dying Light 1 was a really, really fun time, and plenty of people played it for years. It took Dead Island and evolved it, and who knows where Dead Island 2 is or if it'll ever release, but Dying Light 2, I think they've got a good thing going. That E3 demo is insanely impressive, and even if it wasn't actual, real, full-on, in-the-world, how it's going to be true to gameplay, some part of that was real, and the vision is absolutely real. So I hope they can achieve it. I hope this extra time gives them that opportunity, and hey, if it is a launch title for next gen, then boom, baby. That is going to be maybe the one to get. I have high hopes for Halo Infinite and whatever Sony first party decides to drop, but Dying Light 2 would make for an awesome entrance into the next era of gaming. That city already looked insanely impressive at E3 2019. We're going to get it again at E3 2020, and then hopefully when we take it home, it will blow our minds. But give me your take in the comments down below. How do you feel about delays? How do you feel about Dying Light 2? Are you okay waiting? Did you even know the developers suffered from delays sometimes? And does that change your perspective on whether we should be championing delays in every scenario? Obviously, there are different cases for different games, and some probably are best case scenario. But I bet a lot are like Cyberpunk and what Jason Schreier describes. So keep that in mind when you see the next game delayed. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. This is Delaypocalypse 2020, and some title will become victim pretty soon. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Drink some hot chocolate. Be good to yourself and others out there. I love you a lot. And until next time, we'll see you all later.